Have you ever considered whether the type of food that you eat could be affecting the quality of your sleep? Now you're probably thinking, oh my God, I've got to listen to this guy go on for several minutes about some miracle supplement or some coloured bed sheets that he's discovered and it's worked for him and improved his sleep. Well, I can guarantee you that is not what this video is about. This video is actually going to put the power back in your hands for you to do an experiment on yourself. No supplements, no major investments of any sort of money. I'm not going to be selling you anything. This is simply taking into account a whole foods perspective and traditional Chinese medicine and the cycles that the body goes through. So if you or somebody that you know is having trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep, or even getting the length of sleep that they need, this video may be a game changer for you. Before we begin, I just want to quickly empathise with either yourself, you the viewer, or the person that you know that is struggling with their sleep. When somebody doesn't get the required amount of sleep or the quality of sleep that they're after, it can dramatically affect the quality of their life. Personal relationships, your ability to function at work, your ability to undertake exercise, spend time with your family, friends, your children if you have any. These are all These are all areas that can be severely impacted when somebody's sleep is not of the highest quality. So let's get into it. The first suggestion here today is to look at having whole foods for your dinner before you go to sleep. So if dinner sometimes incorporates processed food, takeaway, heating up leftovers, with this experiment you need to take responsibility and ensure that the dinner that you are having is a whole foods based dinner. So no additives, very little condiments if possible, and hopefully this will eliminate a lot of the unknown and not very well researched chemicals, additives, colorings, things like naturally occurring salicylates that can disrupt people's sleep. So we're looking at whole foods and the majority of your meal being carbohydrate based. So what does that look like? Well, it could be a whole range of vegetables. It could be rice, it could be pasta, it could be bread, it could be a nice soup. But we're not looking to have any large amounts of heavy foods such as protein, and we're wanting to keep fat to a very minimum as well. And I'll go over the reasons why in a few moments. I know this is not what you want to hear, because a lot of the time when we're sleep deprived, we want to reach out for that processed food, we want to reach out for takeaway, we want to do the minimal amount possible. But in this experiment, in order to see if it's going to make a difference, and you'll only need a couple of days, a couple of nights to see if this is actually making a difference or not. And a final point in relation to this first suggestion is that we want to make sure that we have eaten enough. Going to bed hungry, for some people, may make no difference to their sleep, but for others it can really wreak havoc on the body's ability to really get into those deep phases and stay asleep for those longer periods. So the summary with the first step is we're looking at whole foods, majority carbohydrate based, and making sure that we're getting enough food. So throughout the day, but also at dinner, so that you feel full, you feel content, you're not hungry. Now let's move on to the second suggestion. The second suggestion is to consider the qi energy cycle from traditional Chinese medicine. Simply put, as the body enters those evening hours, the organs and the body in general is preparing for that regeneration that it's going to receive overnight. Now, for some people, sure, they might be able to have loads of steaks and heavy fatty foods and still have a great sleep. Wonderful for them. But for others, loading up on these heavy foods, these meats, these dense foods, can place an enormous amount of pressure on our organs. particularly the liver, the gallbladder, etc. And if these organs are having to basically charge up of a night time to deal with these heavy foods and try and process them as quickly as possible in preparation for sleep, it can have them working well past their bedtime as well, and maybe being the reason that some people can't quite fall asleep when they'd like to, or they do fall asleep but then they wake up later because those organs are still working, they're heating up the body, they're waking up hot. So embracing the qi cycle and looking to have lighter carbohydrate based foods and whole foods, as mentioned in suggestion 1, at that dinner time. Now please don't misunderstand this for an attack on animal products or fats or protein. It's absolutely not. According to the qi cycle, those foods are better had around mid-morning to midday. So if you're going to have large amounts of meat, eggs, fatty foods, they're better off being eaten in the mid-morning to midday. So in the evening, if you want to have a little bit of meat, if you want to have a little bit of fat, that's okay, but use it more as a garnish. So you've got your major carbohydrate there, and if you want to sprinkle a little bit of meat on, if you want to sprinkle a little bit of oil on, but just make sure that it's sparingly. So lastly, let's look at some suggestions for what you could have for dinner. We're looking at, say, white rice and some vegetables. You could cook that up, nice warm meal, a little bit of soy sauce, some salt. I know it's not the greatest thing in the world, but if it's going to get you that better sleep, you might just have to make that sacrifice for the taste buds in order to make sure that your whole body is going to feel absolutely amazing the next day because you had a good sleep. What are some other options? You could look at a nice vegetable soup, like a pumpkin soup or a tomato soup. Maybe have some bread with that, sourdough preferably. You could have a pasta, so with a basil sauce or a tomato sauce. So it's primarily carbohydrate based, so you're looking at the grains and you're looking at the vegetables. Hopefully this has been of some help to you. As I mentioned before, it'll only take 2, maybe 3 nights for you to determine whether this has made an impact. Please let me know in the comments below if this actually has made an impact on your sleep. If it hasn't done anything at all, let me know that as well, because there are other things that I'm looking into and experimenting on my body that has helped me dramatically to get a better night's sleep, and I want to share that with the world and with the viewers, and I'd love and appreciate any feedback that you could give. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you for watching to the end, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.